Hi, Marc Stevens. MarcStevens.net, the No State Project, the radio show. It's live every Saturday from 4 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on LRN.FM. You can also hit a stream at my website, MarcStevens.net. And this is it's a response to a motion that was filed by a prosecutor in Indiana. And I discussed it on the last show in a lot of detail. I'm going to go through it quickly, and just so you get the idea so you can see it. Give you a little more context. You notice, so one of the main things we're going to be showing here is that state of Indiana is not a geographic area. They want you to believe it's a geographic area when it's convenient for them, but when it really gets down to it, there is no such thing as the state of Indiana. It's nothing more than words on a piece of paper. It's a pseudonym for guys like Stephen B. McGrady, as we'll see. So what's interesting, though, is it's all in the caption here. Not, this is the juref for whatever reason it's up there, but here in the caption you have state of Indiana in upper and lowercase proper English. So whether there's anything to the old caps, we don't know. I don't know. I doubt it. Anyway, we'll go through this as quickly as we can. One of the ways that Stephen B. McGrady is going to show us that the state of Indiana, that it says here, is not a geographic area, is the fact that it's appearing in court. It's in an adversary proceeding against somebody, so the ground isn't actually the client, unless Mr. Stephen McGrady wants to testify that he's taking his marching orders from the ground. Well, that would be interesting. See if he would admit or deny that. Okay, so we have the state of Indiana appearing as a plaintiff that is responding and denying allegations. So obviously not a geographic area; it's just a pseudonym. What's interesting here is he's saying that the defendant has asked the court to dismiss this cause. That's an interesting choice of words there. And he'll go through and call it a cause or a cause of action a case later, not realizing that a cause of action, of course, requires a violation of a legal right. But he misinforms or is trying to misdirect attention away from himself by saying that the defendant alleged the state failed to state a cause. That is not true, and he knows that because he comes down and he says right here, the defendant is under the impression that Deputy Parker has alleged. So he does know that no one alleged that the state did or did not do anything, because we know well enough that there are no facts that the state's just a pseudonym. It's a fiction. What's interesting here too is that Mr. McGrady contradicts himself by saying Deputy Parker has not alleged anything in this case, and then goes on to say Deputy Parker witnessed an incident where he believed the defendant acted unlawfully and filled out 2 tickets, stating he had reason to believe. That will qualify as an allegation. So when you state that you have reason to believe that someone acted unlawfully, that is an allegation. At least that's the way I look at it. So let's go to the next page. Go to the next page here. Okay. Okay. So again, he's coming down, and Stephen B. McGrady, acting in his capacity as Chief Deputy Prosecuting Attorney, determined there was sufficient reason to believe that Miss X had violated the legal rights of the state of Indiana. Now, I don't know about you, but I have never heard of a geographic landmass having legal rights, and he doesn't present any facts whatsoever to lead a reasonable person to believe that this geographic landmass actually acquired these rights. There's no fact. He says, acting upon that belief, I filed this cause of action, which is interesting here for all the naysayers. I did write the motion he's responding to, and he does say right here, the defendant has correctly stated that if she has not violated the legal rights of the plaintiff must fail to state a valid claim, and the cause should be dismissed. So here we've got a prosecutor who's at least agreeing to some common sense here. However, the defendant has neglected to consider the state of Indiana's legal right to enforce traffic tickets. Now, there's no allegations in here, like I mentioned on the show. There's no allegations here that the defendant interfered with this alleged right. It just isn't there. So here we've got more proof that, again, that the state of Indiana is not a geographic landmass, because it says right here, we'll highlight that, this is not, okay. So Indiana, like the other states, so now he's including the other states in this as being on equal footing, of course they're all fictions, has opted to create a set of statutes. So we know that the state of Indiana creating statutes that he's not talking about, that's obviously not a geographic location. So that's pretty easy to see right there. But then he gives that the incident in question in this cause took place at the intersection of, so he's given geographic location, and then he muddies the water, which are both public roads maintained by Fountain County. County being, of course, a political subdivision of, just another legal fiction. So we'll jump to page 3. The county has erected stop signs. So now, I don't know about you, but if a county is just a geographic area, I don't see how it's erecting stop signs, well, erecting anything for that matter. So that's further evidence of that. Let's see where we can go here. So I think we have enough evidence here to show that the whatever is meant by state of Indiana is not a geographic area. What I really like though is when we get to page 3. So let's jump to page 4 rather. I'm sorry. If we see here, he's saying the state's right to regulate road traffic. So obviously this is not a geographic area doing the regulating. That's plain. That's fairly easy to see. I don't really need to get into that. I covered that on the show. What's interesting, again, more evidence is the state of Indiana will still have to prove its case. Again, not a geographic area. How much do we need to get here? And then I want to finish on this. This is gold. I mean, this is fantastic. I wish I could, maybe really zoom in on that. So we'll zoom in on that. We'll go out a little bit. So this is what's really interesting here. The defendant availed herself to the authority of this court when she operated a motor vehicle on a public highway in this county. Again, a fiction. Since this controversy, which a controversy requires a violation of legal right and damage, which they did not show. But I've never seen where the court's where this is like a non sequitur of the 10th degree to say that just because you're on the road, you're availing yourself of the authority of the court. I've not read where the authority of the court is based on someone on someone's geographic location. It's usually based on contacts with the forum state being within the state. But again, they're not going to try to go through and show where the state of Indiana is anything more than a legal fiction. So I put in a call to Stephen McGrady, and I'm told, let him know that I'm interested in speaking to him on the show. We'll see what happens. But again, just to end this, never take their word on it. When they say state of Indiana or they say state of Victoria in Australia or something, just question him on it and look at the language that they use here. Obviously, if the state of Indiana has to still prove its case, it's not a physical geographic location. And mind you, that Stephen B. McGrady, he's supposed to have a burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt to prove your presence within the plaintiff. Okay? He has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt your presence within the plaintiff, which is the state of Indiana. So, again, no evidence that there is a state, there are no citizens. And for more information, go to markstevens.net.